Hi guys, and welcome back to another FNAF video. Now, recently a new book has come out called Step Closer, which has 3 new stories and a teaser for the Stitch Wraith story thread going on. So I'm just going to break down each individual story and then talk about the Stitch Wraith ending at the end. So first up, Step Closer. So this story has some interesting similarities to FNAF 4. So the family there's a mother and a father who are divorced, and interesting enough, the father's name is Bill, which is a nickname for William. So it could maybe be a representation of William's relationship with Mrs. Afton, that they're divorced, which also explains why you don't see Mrs. Afton and only see Purple Guy sometimes at the restaurant, because they're divorced, they're not together, they're probably not living in the same town, or at least not in the same house, which is what happens in Step Closer. And there's also Pete, which is the older brother, and Chuck, which is the younger brother. And speaking of nicknames about how the father's name is Bill, Chuck is the younger brother. Now, Chuck is a common name for Charlie. However, it's not Charlie from the novels, because Charlie is the daughter of Henry, not William. So the main story is Pete, who was considered to be strong since he's a football player. Now, Foxy Bro, he was fairly buff in the mini games. However, it could be just from like a sprite issue where it's just he looks buff, but it's just a mini game. And he tries to terrorize his brother with Foxy, similar to how he in the mini games, Foxy Bro, he put on the mask and he jump scared Chuck. Well, in this version, he just takes him over to Foxy to try and scare him. However, in a shocking twist, Foxy begins to terrorize Pete. He taunts Pete, saying, "You can be a pirate, but first you have to lose an eye and an arm." And ever since that event, Pete nearly misses objects that could have ripped his eye out or cut his arm off. Then Chuck, he's like, "Hey, wait a minute, maybe it's what Pete did to him that is causing this," and then they decide to make a truce. And then after a while, Pete just loses it and breaks it by getting angry, mostly due to fear of what Chuck said, and he just breaks the truce, and that's it. It's on again. And then even more freak accidents happen until Pete gets hit by a car and dies. However, he's not quite fully dead, because he's still conscious and aware of everything. And then it realizes that on his that he is an organ donor, and someone just recently came in need of an eye and a hand. Chuck then goes to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza 4 weeks after Pete's death and finds that Foxy is gone. So yeah, I'm going to be talking a bit more about Step Closer in regards to all these theories that Scott has confirmed that Mike is a Foxy brother because Foxy Bro chews gum. Well, I'm going to get to that at the end of the story, because it links to the Stitch Wraith story, which again people were theorizing of something, and I've found another theory, and that's all completely fine. It's fine to have other theories, but anyway, I'll stop blabbing on and get to dance with me. So I mean, it's not much to report on. It's a girl named Casey lives by thieving until she steals the girl's special glasses, and whenever Casey puts on the glasses, she can see Blora, but others can't when they put the glasses on. After Blora harasses Casey, she decides to leave her city in case Blora can only be limited to the location of the crime, similar to Ella from 1:35 a.m. This does not work, and Blora continues to cause problems for Casey. After stealing some more, Casey decides to return the glasses, and then the story ends. Next, coming home, it's about Chica. It's about a girl named Samantha whose younger sister Susie is part of the missing children incident. Like the games universe, Susie becomes Chica. However, this Chica is a brunette instead of a blonde in the games. So these stories take place in an alternate universe. Hooray! It's going to be even more confusing finding the links, because you have to know, oh, is this just this alternate universe? Does this only happen in the alternate universe? Can this be applied to the games universe? And before the MCI happens, we see 5 children walk past, 3 girls and 2 boys, and the only named child, he's been he gets called this every now and then, Drew, which is a nickname for Andrew, the child who appears in the Citrate. And with that, that's it there. So everyone has these theories that, oh, the Citrate is only about Golden Freddy. So what's it about? So the two souls of the Citrate are best summed up like this. There's Jake, a sick child, and Andrew, a angry, rage-filled spirit. So what the story is, so what the whole teaser is about, it's about these two souls that are trapped inside the Citrate. Jake, he controls it, and Andrew is the one that causes the rage because he seems to be a very rage-filled spirit. So, firstly, who is Jake? Who's the identity behind Jake, the one who controls the Citrate? Well, they're only introduced to each other in the Citrate, so there must be some separate parts. But which parts? The thing is, we already know. In the second Citrate story, we are told of a sick woman who was looking after a sick boy, and when that boy died, she got to keep the house. In that same house, there are drawings that are similar to the marks on the Citrate. I strongly believe that Jake is that sick child. He possessed the mannequin skin of the Citrate. But what about Andrew? It is revealed that he's the one causing the rage that kills people, while Jake is controlling the body. I previously theorized that the human-like endoskeleton was from Golden Freddy, and that seems to be right. Andrew is Golden Freddy, but then he explains how he got here. Then things get really interesting. Fuzzy, yeah, so am mine, Andrew said, but I do remember wanting to get back at someone who hurt me. I think I attached myself to them. I got into his soul, made sure he couldn't move on when he should have died. I remember I wanted him to suffer, the way he made me suffer. But I don't remember what he did. I just know I hung on, no matter what they did to try and save him. I wanted him to hurt. What is Andrew talking about? Well, I believe that during the bite of 83, when Beefy got his head and skull crushed, Andrew prevented him from dying due to mistaken identity. Because remember, he is just pure rage, agony. Beefy was dying, but Andrew prevented that from happening. And yes, the flatline at the end of FNAF 4 does imply that Beefy died, however, we don't have the full story. We have no idea what was in the box. It might have been the heartbeat starting up again from Andrew refusing for poor Beefy to die. And how did Andrew mistake a child for a man? Well, this all comes back to the Happiest Day minigame. If you look at the position, the soul of Golden Freddy is right where Fredbear is, and the cupcake is where Beefy is. So I think Golden Freddy thought it was his happiest day, so he went to take a bite of cake, but instead of Beefy. Then when Golden Freddy noticed he wasn't eating cake, he thought he was biting William because he is very unself-aware. Then he prevents Beefy from succumbing to his wounds. But there is more to the story. Remember, they tried to kill him. I remember they tried to kill him, but I wasn't going to let him go until I was ready. It's weird. I remember being so angry and determined, but I don't know why. What is this moment where they tried to kill him? Well, I'm putting my credibility on the line, and am saying that Golden Freddy prevented Michael from dying from the scoop and sister location. But what about Baby saying you won't die? Well, this may not be a retcon. She may just be observing what is happening. After all, Michael has a robot inside his stomach crushing all his organs, yet he is somehow living. He won't die. But if you thought this was all, well, I have news for you. This story actually explains what happened in the logbook. After Jake asked Andrew what happened to the person that he basically tortured, and this is what he replies with. I'm not sure. I know I was in him when we got to this big place with lots of cool stuff. I can remember that, wanting to be everywhere. I can remember being all over the place and all kinds of things. And I remember this animatronic dog. Fetch. Golden Freddy somehow lived in Michael, but what proof is there? The logbook. The logbook has three writers: a faded text, Michael Afton, and Cassidy/Golden Freddy. People who believe in MIKEVICTIM think that the faded text is asking questions to Michael, and because the faded text is basically saying you are the bite victim, this means Michael is the BV/Golden Freddy of FNAF 4. However, because Golden Freddy is somehow answering the questions as well, Golden Victim, BV is Golden Freddy, theorists claim this is their proof. For nearly 3 years, there has been an argument about who the faded text is trying to talk to. Well, here's my take on it. Yeah, sorry about the phone call. Golden Freddy is hibernating inside of Michael. Then the faded text asks questions to Michael, which he answers. Then, because BV is not fully aware, he gets confused and answers the questions. So, yeah, in recent days, there's been discussion about, is Michael Afton the Foxy brother? And now, in the logbook, it states that Michael has a bad habit of chewing gum, and in Step Closer, Pete chews gum. However, there's some things that I noticed about Pete and Chuck that frame this whole thing differently. Yes, Chuck seems to be afraid of a certain animatronic, Foxy. However, BV was afraid of more than just Foxy. And Chuck also seems to be he seems to be the Foxy bro in this type of place where Peter's always freaking out and Chuck seems to be the one like, oh, settle down. Always to be that kind of thing, while Foxy bro, Pete has become the paranoid person. When Pete tries to scare Chuck, Chuck runs away, and that's when the main story takes off. Pete witnesses something off about Foxy happen. The lyrics of the song say that he will lose an eye and an arm, then Pete runs off. Pete is the only one to see this, like how BV was the only one to see something scary happen in FNAF 4. And finally, in the kind of reverse ending, Pete is the one who dies while Chuck survives. So, what about the chewing gum? Well, I think that if you take into context how the roles of Foxy Bro and BV are reversed in this story, you can actually say that BV is actually the one who chews gum whenever he is stressed. And just another thing, just off the cuff. So, Dorko recently did a tweet about how he was exploring FNAF World again, and then he might have alluded to how Scott might have said that Michael was the bite victim in what he thinks is the original canon. Now, a lot of people were complaining about that. Now here's the thing. I think it's fine if you believe in Mike Bully or MIKEVICTIM. Literally, I don't care. I don't go around saying, "Oh, what, you believe in this theory?" None of us have the full story. So saying that, one theory is dumb or whatever, I mean, that's not productive at all. And another thing, I mean, most of the fan base believed in Mike Trap, and that was proven absolutely wrong. So you can't say that. So it's when you get the majority ruling over everything, it's very counterproductive. So my advice is just let people believe what they want to, if they want to theorize about, just if they believe Michael's the bite victim, fine. They think Michael's Fredbear, okay, but fine. And yeah, that's just my TED talk. So yeah, if you like this video and you want to hear more about the next story, which is Bunny Cole. Yeah, I said Monkey Cole because it's kind of the rabbit, and it's kind of like that monkey with like cylinders. It's always seen like in the background as like a creepy thing, or it's kind of like that, but a bunny thing. So yeah, if you want to see more of Bunny Cole, yeah, just like and subscribe, and want to see more theories of mine where I don't follow the main crowd. I just take a different avenue, and that sort of, I mean, that's fine. If I'm wrong, well, I'm wrong, but I'm completely happy to see more lore answered. So yeah, like and subscribe for more theories, videos, and yeah, bye.